what they want. I write flat out, really fast, first time round, with, as I said, with no knowledge of where I'm going. So I make all kinds of mistakes, and I kind of take scenic routes, I crash, I start again. Doesn't really matter, because I know I've got another 6, 7, 8 attempts at it, Same time, when I write in that way, I nearly always discover something magical, something fascinating, something that's going to interest me for a long time. I isolate something. And so when it comes to the second time round, I'm already removing stuff and then working on the material that I think is going to prove interesting. So my theory about it, which I've come up with recently, is that I start as kind of in a female role, very, very intuitive, prepared to make all kinds of mistakes, prepared to be very emotional with what I'm doing. And as the process continues through many, many drafts, I become, if you like, more male, become more rational, more logical, until by the end, the 9th, 10th draft, I'm hopefully the most ruthless critic of my own work.
How do you know when you've finished a work?
I just know now. I feel it. Sometimes I would say that with a book, there's. I'm not one of those writers who shows things to people before it's done, but with some books, I'll get to a point after a number of drafts where I think, actually, I can't. I'm sort of feeling I've got the whole book is a blind spot, and I'm not sure whether I'm seeing it right, and I've tried to trick myself into viewing it different ways. Like I'll write a draft using a different typeface, so all the line breaks are different. You try and trick yourself into seeing the thing as it really should be seen. In the end, though, there comes a point where you think it's time to show it to someone else, and this is where you need your trusted readers, and they change over the years actually. But I always think I need 2 or 3. And from both sexes, and they're the people who would be absolutely honest with what I've done. So if they say this is, no one ever has said it's rubbish, but if they said this whole section didn't work for me, and then I would take that quite seriously. But knowing when it's finished, Paul Valery famously said, a poem is never finished; it's only abandoned. I think it's same with a novel. There's a sense in which you in the end have to abandon it, because there's no such thing as a perfect novel, and you're not going to be able to get there, and you spend your life trying to get there. But each new novel is another attempt. But there is a point where you abandon it, and by then I usually have ideas I'm going to move on to, and it's a chance to get it right.
What's your routine as a writer?
7 days a week, 7 hours a day, pretty much sums it up. I need to be in contact with the material every day. I've experimented, of course, as we all do. I've tried writing through the night. I've tried writing in the week and taking weekends off. I've tried all kinds of things, and I've just discovered that I just need to be attached to the material, involved with it in some way every day. Even if, and this very rarely happens, but even if I go in, sit down and write nothing, a sense in which I'm thinking about it, and I'm in front of it, and I'm sort of entering that world, because it's always a world that you're going into. And while you're in that kind of phase, in that when I'm in that kind of 7 day a week, 7 hour a day thing, really that world's more real than the real world. So someone who comes to the door, the postman is kind of like a ghost, whereas someone I'm writing about on the page, who is totally fictional, is flesh and blood.
Is there a writer that you find yourself always going back to?
I have books that are talismanic. They've changed slightly over the years again, but there are some that remain the same, and these books are always they're always not far away. They're always a few feet away from me, either in the bookshelf behind me or on the desk. And I guess what they do is I just open them up and read a couple of pages, and they remind me of what's good, of what's